I'm going to show you exactly how to have the best day possible at any theme park. I'm going to give you 3 crucial mistakes you must avoid, 3 things you have to do every time you visit the theme park. I'm even going to give you 3 bonus tips, all to help you have the perfect day at a theme park. Alright, let's jump into mistake number 1. And that would be buying an unnecessary fast lane when you simply do not need it. I see a lot of people buy a fast lane on a day where it is not very crowded. When it's not very crowded and lines are not long, you do not need to buy a fast lane. Not only are they ridiculously expensive, but with some smart planning, you won't even need one. And I'll show you just how to do that later on in the video. Now yes, there are definitely certain scenarios where a fast lane could be beneficial if you can afford it. For example, if you're visiting Cedar Point like 4th of July weekend, if you can afford it, it might not be a bad investment. But if you're visiting a theme park on a random Tuesday in June, you probably do not need a fast lane. The next mistake I see a lot of people make is bringing either too big of a bag or not having zipper pockets. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, what's the problem with having a bigger bag? Well, for most theme parks, you have to put that bag in a locker, and a lot of times that locker is going to cost a couple dollars. Not only that, but then you also have to worry about maybe leaving it somewhere, and it's also just in general kind of a pain to bring around a big backpack when it's 90 degrees outside in a theme park. So I would, if at all possible, maybe consider something like a fanny pack or like cargo shorts so you can store all your belongings. But I do understand if you have younger kids and do need a larger bag and everything, just be prepared to have to store that bag in a paid locker. But what about having zipper pockets? Because I think having good zipper pockets is one of the most crucial things to having a good day at any theme park. Not only can you safely secure your phone, keys, wallet, etc. so they do not fly out of your pockets, it also in most cases reduces the need for another bag, which in turn saves you money, time, and the hassle of carrying around something else. Bottom line, try to avoid bringing a big bulky backpack and try to wear zipper shorts, they're really helpful. And our final mistake that you have to avoid is buying individual meals. Trust me, this will make sense in a second. So we all know theme parks are ridiculously expensive, but they don't necessarily have to be. Like for example, most meals at a theme park, like an individual meal, is probably going to cost you between $16 and $20. And look, that's not a whole lot of food. And if you buy, let's say, 3 meals, that $16 to $20 all of a sudden turns into like $60 just on food. But there's actually a really good way to get around this. I could of course eat before you enter the theme park, or leave, like your hand, go get some food and then come back. That's always an option. But another really good choice could be looking at an all-day dining plan. Not only do these only cost like $45, so pretty much 2 to 3 meals. For example, in the Six Flags chain, you'll get a meal every 90 minutes. If you're smart, you can get 4 or 5 meals easily in a day and save a whole lot of money. And no one will be hungry at the end of the day either. So the bottom line, try to avoid buying individual meals if at all possible, and maybe look into a meal plan if it makes sense for you. Alright, so we've covered 3 mistakes that you need to avoid to have a good day at a theme park. So what are 3 things that you should do instead? Well, on the topic of meal plans and trying to save money, make sure to look out for deals and sales going on for whatever park you are visiting. A lot of times, theme parks will be running promotions during different times of the year to help get you discounted tickets, merchandise, meal plans, etc. And especially a lot of times if you buy your tickets earlier in the season, you can sometimes get a really good deal too. And maybe even a bring a friend pass if you're lucky. But not only should you be looking for deals and stuff, you should also maybe consider a season pass in some certain scenarios. For example, if you're visiting a bunch of theme parks in one chain, like for example Six Flags, you might want to consider buying an all-park passport to get you into all of the parks in the chain. This can save a ton of money in tickets if you're smart about it, and it's almost always worth it if you're visiting 2 or more theme parks in a chain. But also keep in mind, if you are going to visit a park more than once during a season, so let's take my home park at Kings Island for example, if I'm going earlier in the year and know I want to come back, say during Halloween Haunt or Winterfest, a lot of times it is the smarter investment just to get a season pass than buying 2 separate individual tickets. You'll not only get free parking with the season pass, but you can even go more than twice if you have a spare weekend or whatever. So if you know you want to visit a theme park more than once in a season, I would highly recommend checking out a season pass and pricing everything out because it might be a really good deal. And of course, as I said, free parking, you'll get discounts on food, merch, and a whole lot more. So again, check it out and see if it makes sense. These next two things you need to do are super important. With number 2 being make a game plan. Trust me, this will make your day so much better. So what does a good game plan look like? Well, I would start off by splitting up the attractions in the theme park into 3 separate categories. Things you must ride, things you'd like to ride but don't necessarily have to, and things you're going to skip. This will help give you an idea of what to prioritize and what to skip if you're running low on time. I'll next decide where you are going to head first when you arrive at the park. Most parks are a circle, so normally you would pick one side, either right or left, and go and do all of the attractions on that side and kind of circle and make your way around. And then finally, I'd pick out a couple places, and obviously do your research on what you want to eat and all that, but pick a couple places that sound good to eat, if you're of course planning to eat in the park. I know it sounds simple and maybe pointless at times, but planning all of this stuff out ahead will help make the experience a lot more enjoyable and take a lot of stress and pressure off of making quick decisions. Trust me, it is worth it. But while making a good game plan is very important, this next tip is arguably the most important thing you have to do when visiting a theme park. And if you are enjoying the videos so far, make sure you subscribe down below so you don't miss out on any future coaster content coming your way. And that would be to arrive early. Hold on, let me explain. So there are a lot of benefits to arriving early at a theme park. A lot of times you can get to the attraction you're going to first and be one of the first people on the ride. Not only does that obviously knock out a coaster and all that, but it also lets you get to another ride before the line gets long and get your day off to a really good start. And again, with some good planning, you can knock out a ton of attractions in the first hour of operation. That's why I said, especially on less busy days, you really don't need a fast lane, because if you plan ahead and get there early enough, you can knock out a good chunk of what you want to do in the first hour or two of the park opening. Trust me, this is worth it, but you're probably also wondering, how early should I get there? Well, before you decide how early to get there, I would check to see if you have a season pass, then check to see if the park you're visiting offers early entry. Basically, you can get into the park like an hour or so early and ride a select number of attractions before the park even opens. Now again, this is only open to, for the most part, select pass holders. You have to have like a certain tier or whatever normally. So again, if you have a season pass, check to see if that's included, because if that is the case, definitely arrive probably 5 to 10 minutes before your early entry time begins. But if you don't have early entry, I would say arrive at a solid 30 to 45 minutes before the park opens. Especially if you're visiting a larger park like Cedar Point or Magic Mountain or one of the Universal and Disney parks. I know it sounds early, but it'll get you a good place in line and allow you to knock out a bunch of attractions as quickly as possible. But if you don't want to get there 30 minutes early, I would say the bare minimum is about 15 minutes early. That'll get you an okay place in line, but I would still recommend 30. Trust me, it is so important. Alright, now I'm going to give you 3 final bonus tips to help make your day as good as possible. Starting off with tip number 1, please never try to record or take any pictures while on an attraction. Not only will this most likely get you kicked out of the park, you could also seriously injure someone if you lose grip of your phone or whatever, and it could fly back and hit someone later in the train. And in some cases, seriously injure a person. Do not record or take any selfies or whatever on a ride. It is simply not worth it. You will almost certainly get kicked out and you could seriously injure someone in the process. Now my next tip sounds simple, but is still a problem a lot of times at theme parks. Please try to stay hydrated as much as possible. Now look, I know it sounds silly, but especially on hot days, there are a ton of people who pass out after rides because they're simply not hydrated well enough. Theme parks can get hot, it's the summertime and everything, and a lot of times there isn't a ton of shade around. So staying hydrated is one of the most important things to help you feel good throughout your day, and of course to keep you safe. Now the topic of water and everything, if you have some extra time and it's hot out, consider checking out a water park. A lot of times, theme parks have water parks attached to them that you can get into free for most of them. So if you got some time to kill, and you're hot and you're in the mood, checking out a water park might not be a bad idea at all. It'll give you something else to do, help you cool off a little bit. If you plan it right, you can come back into the park right as the sun's starting to set and it starts to cool off, and you can have a really nice evening. So again, stay hydrated and consider checking out the water park if you have a little extra time. And finally, bonus tip number 3, arguably the most important tip in this entire video, is just stay flexible and try to be patient. Now, while making a game plan is good and everything, a lot of times at least one thing will not go according to plan. A ride might break down, the line might be really long, or something random might happen. But the best thing you can do is just be flexible, don't stress about it, and just continue to enjoy your day. Remember, you're there to have fun, so sometimes stressing too much about, oh, I gotta get this done in this order and whatnot, can kind of take away from your experience. So just stay flexible and also be patient. Look, waiting in line sucks, but having some good patience is really key to having a good day too. You're probably gonna have to wait in a decent line no matter what you do. So exercising some patience, taking a deep breath, again can help make your day just a little bit better. And remember, always be patient with employees and other guests. They're all in the same situation as you and they're all doing their best. So again, be patient, be flexible, and remember, have some fun. Now this video should help make your day as good as it can possibly be. But the problem is, theme parks are still really expensive. But luckily, there are a ton of ways to save some money and make your experience as cheap as possible. So if you want some more tips on how to save money, check out the video on your screen right now because it's honestly super helpful. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe down below, drop a like while you're at it. Alright, thank you guys for watching, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next one.